All right, can I get everybody's attention for a few minutes, please? Few minutes. All right. First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming out and spending some time with us today. My name is Davin Jackson. I am the owner and CEO of Alpha Esports and Technology. And I'm going to get into the whole thing. Promise I'm going to try to keep it short. So we came up with the idea of Alpha Esports and Technology about 5 or 6 years ago. I work in tech. I've been in tech now for almost 20 years. I've been in cybersecurity for almost half of that time. I work as what is known as a pen tester or an ethical hacker, where I get paid and hired from companies to test the security posture of their buildings, their networks. Pretty much, you name it, I've probably hacked it at some point with permission. Don't do anything without permission, by the way. But I wanted to come up with an idea to engage the younger generation on how to get into tech and cybersecurity. And there were some things that I had done during that time and some of the research that I found that was really interesting. One, a lot of the stuff that we take for granted when playing games are actually beneficial to tech, to careers like tech and cybersecurity, game design, game development. They're, as an ethical hacker, you have to be quick on your feet. You have to be able to learn to adapt. Basically survey the area and make split decisions sometimes, especially if you're trying to evade being caught. So a lot of that actually translates well to what gamers do when they're playing a lot of their games. And I got the idea because my son was in a Fortnite esports group a few years ago, and when their coach was explaining it to them, it resonated with me because they essentially explained the same phases I do during an assessment. So during an assessment, you have your reconnaissance, your information gathering, reconnaissance, vulnerability analysis, exploitation, post-exploitation, and then lastly, you have your report writing. Fortnite, you do the same thing. You get off the bus, you're surveying the area, you're getting your loot, you're finding your points of interest, you're doing all of that. Then after that, you're doing your analysis, you're checking the areas, you're looking in the corners. Maybe there's a structure built over here, or the house is messed up over here, or your favorite loot box or treasure chest has been broken. That tells you that someone's in the area. You find someone off to the corner. You might try to pick them off when you hear that crack. You know that they're vulnerable, so now they're vulnerable and ready to be exploited. You get your different tool of choice. I'm not going to say weapon, but you find your different tool of choice, and that's your exploitation. You gather then when you pick up their stuff and gather their loot, that's your post exploitation. And at the end of the match, you figure out your stats. That's your report writing. So I gave that talk at a cybersecurity conference using Fortnite as the example, and it actually went very well. I even just spoke to the National Institute of Cybersecurity Education in Dallas, Texas, last month, as a matter of fact, right? It was last month, and which was really cool to sit in front of a bunch of cybersecurity executives, and I have Fortnite on my screen explaining it to them. But I do that again, just highlight that they have a lot of the skills. They may not know it or they're not aware of it. Also, there's a ton of opportunities that they have at their fingertips, between the palm of their hands or the fingertips on their keyboards. So we want to expose all of that as well. So I want to start off the presentation with how many of us have either heard or said one of these words here, or you can see it on the screen here. That video games are a waste of time, that they're bad for you, that if you like watching streaming, that it's a dumb idea to watch someone else play a video game, or that nothing good is going to come from it, or lastly, that esports is just a trend. My response is this. So I think you'll appreciate this. This is from the last Rainbow Six event in Brazil. So they filled out a soccer stadium for Rainbow Six, and here's the kicker. That wasn't the championship match. That was day 2 of like a 4-day event. So they had it packed there the entire weekend. And if anybody knows, European football or soccer, you've seen those stadiums. That was their stadium. So, and then the other stat I like to say is that gaming is actually the biggest form of entertainment in the world. It surpasses music and film. In fact, gaming brings in more money than the music and film industry combined. And then 97% of kids from ages 12 to 17 play some form of video games, whether it's on their phones, their tablets, their PCs, their consoles, whatever it is, they're playing. And with that comes a lot of opportunities. So the schools have actually invested. The state of Georgia is probably the #1 state that supports esports as a sport. They have high school varsity teams now. You can go to college and get college scholarships for esports. There's almost 9,000 high school teams in the United States. The state of Georgia alone has almost 200. It's like 150. I have to update that. A college esports team is 240. In 2021, they gave out $16 million in college scholarships for esports. The year before, it was $22 million. Here's another fact that's not on here. 46% of esports scholarships go unclaimed because the parents and the kids do not know they exist. So now they have this money allocated to send kids to school for free to play games and represent their colleges, but they don't even know it exists, and now they have to give it back to somewhere else, right? And it's not just for players. If you're a content creator, if you're a good coach, if you're a shoutcaster, which is the esports equivalent of doing play-by-play announcing, if you have talents and all of that, those are also opportunities that you can get for not only college scholarships, but also employment opportunities. So this is actually a representative for the state of Georgia. I want to keep the presentation short, but I can send you all that video if you're interested. And also earlier this week, the IOC approved esports to now be an Olympic sport starting in 2025. So in 2025, you can represent your country in the Olympics playing Fortnite or whatever matches. We're waiting to see the list of games, but that's an exciting announcement that now the IOC has bought into it. The schools have bought into it. The colleges have bought into it. So it's time for us to also be able to do the same thing. If you look here, there's a screen here, and we had something here earlier. This is actually a live stream of a League of Legends match that is happening in Saudi Arabia right now. So the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, they started a program they started an event called the Esports World Cup. It is, I think it's like a 2-month-long tournament that total prize pool is $60 million. So everybody's playing in their respective games for different events. I think going back, like, I'm just trying to pick on you, but I think the Rainbow Six event ended the other day, and I think that one was for $250,000. And so esports is the third largest sport the third largest growing sport right now in the United States. Last year, just the esports market size did $1.72 billion. Okay, millions of viewers like us tune in. We're watching it right here on live stream as well. That's another source of income that people take for granted. If you're good at the game, people want to see how you do it, and you want to talk on stream. That's another opportunity. Brands and sponsorship deals, especially now going to college, and they have the name and likeness deals now, the NIL deals. So now college athletes can also make a living while playing. There's some gamers in colleges that actually make more than the athletes from the NIL deals because of these same sponsorships and because they're bringing so much recognition with their live streams. All right. So when you talk about gaming, going back to that first slide, you hear about all the negative things, but studies have shown, and it's not me just saying it, the National Institute of Health actually did a study a couple years ago that shows that that gaming can actually improve your cognitive abilities. Gaming can also help develop leadership skills, communication skills, your creativity, problem solving, critical thinking. It can work with your mental health in a positive fashion when done in the right environment, as well as your multitasking skills. All things that you can get from your quote-unquote traditional or stick and ball sports, right? And I think one of the setbacks that parents used to say was, well, but you can't make any money off of it, or you can't go to college for it. Well, now you can. So that's what we try to focus on. The other thing that we also focus on is the hidden job market in esports. So again, beyond the game, beyond the keyboard and controller, there's so many opportunities that you can make from gaming in esports. If you're, like I said, you can be a player or manager. I know a young lady who got a 4-year scholarship because she was great at League of Legends, but she actually ended up being a greater coach. She could actually tell them where they needed to be in what lanes at what times and how to do things. So when they actually picked up one gentleman for his scholarship, he was like, yeah, but she's the brains of the operation. They're like, okay, cool, you come too. So I mean, imagine that you're so good at the game, you don't even have to play it, but now you're going to college because you're telling other people how to play it. Again, sponsors and investors, live streamers. Like I said, it's not easy work. It is a grind. I have a live streamer here, but it's not easy work. But when you do that, and you're engaging and you can build that audience, it's residual income. Tournaments and leagues. There's a community of Mario Kart players here in Georgia that we actually had to get with all the other venues to make sure that our schedules didn't collide with each other, because there's a group of Mario Kart players who will go from venue to venue every weekend, and that's how they make their living. They go and compete in every tournament, and then they're like, all right, we're done. We got to head up to the next one. So there's tournaments and leagues and things like that. Developers and publishers, they're looking for people who are great gamers, make great developers if they know the transferable skills and start learning things like coding and programming. Broadcast and media. Like I said, the streaming, the shoutcasting, and now, like I said, with the IOC, I guarantee you between 2025 with the Olympics coming and in 2026 when the FIFA World Cup comes to Georgia, there's going to be a whole lot of opportunities and a whole lot of content creation opportunities in esports, and especially with the soccer games. So again, this is just kind of talking about the different roles you have: event management, tech, broadcasting, marketing, cybersecurity, and I'll touch on the cybersecurity element in it as well. But going back to what I was saying when I started doing my research, the two things that I've gotten when I got the feedback from the young gamers is that they don't see themselves in tech. They don't see themselves working in tech. I'm going to turn this a little bit. So yeah, they don't see themselves working. They don't believe it. They don't have the confidence. So it's not even so much of a technical issue. They just don't see themselves in that space. And it resonated with me because I was that kid. I grew up tinkering and messing with things. It was probably dangerous when I did it, because I'm pretty sure things were still plugged in when I was messing with electrical circuits and stuff. But I knew I wanted to do something in tech, but I just didn't know what that was, and I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have any mentors or anybody there to say, hey, you look like you'd be great at this, and explain it to me. So I went to the service. Not knocking it, I got a chance to serve my country, and I got to do some really cool stuff. I was an aircraft mechanic on the F-16 and F-117 Stealth. Came home and still didn't think I had the knowledge or the technical abilities to work in a field like that. It wasn't until my wife kind of just said it. It usually takes your partner to kind of just say it in a way that's like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense when you say it like that. So we started looking into tech. I knew we couldn't afford to go to college at the time, so we started looking at technical certifications, and I started off with the very basic certification of the A+ certification. I was actually working at a Circuit City while studying for my A+ certification. So while I'm on the PC bench, I'm looking through my study book going, okay, this is what a hard drive, so that's the hard drive, that's the processor, that's the CMOS battery. And that's how I got my first certification. Like I said, and after that, I just kept growing and growing and growing. And now, like I said, from now 20 years later, I work in cybersecurity. I'm also a LinkedIn learning instructor. I have 2 courses on LinkedIn on API security. I've given talks and presentations all over the country. And I owe that to, like I said, video games and anime. I'll explain that story one too, but I'm trying to keep it short. The other challenge that I looked at is that we all see it. The tech industry is facing a large gap. We joked about CrowdStrike earlier. The issue with that is that they, between feeling like they don't have enough people to fill those roles, you have people who aren't fully qualified, and maybe they should have looked at that line of code that said, oh, this is going to affect that Windows kernel in the update. That's going to cause a blue screen of death. So esports players that I've talked to express interest in working in gaming, but they feel like they lack those technical skills that are needed. So again, once you explain to them that they have a lot of the technical skills already, or that they at least have a lot of the transferable skills, teaching them the hands-on skills is easy. All right. I think one of the hardest things for me was to learn how to play keyboard and mouse. I still prefer controller to this day. Maybe because I just grew up on controllers, but I felt like getting the finger placement for that was the hardest thing ever. Then I started working in Linux, where everything is command prompt based. I'm like, okay, so now it's the same concept. If you can navigate a keyboard and mouse, you can navigate a Linux command prompt. It's just a matter of learning the different commands and learning what they do. And honestly, if you have the mindset for it, and that it could actually be fun and challenging for a career. So that's what we do at Alpha Esports and Technology. We try to create communities for gamers of all levels and backgrounds. We want to focus to connect our gamers or our pack with industry professionals through our workshops, through our live events, through our community events. We try to bring people together. We also want to help you develop any type of skills and connections that are essential for your esports career, your gaming career, your content creation, cybersecurity, tech, whatever it is. I may not have all the answers, but over the last 20 years, because of the connections I've made, I can probably point you in the right direction and help you to do it in a way that your parents will love, because a lot of it can be free or cheap. And we try to find different ways to integrate tech and cybersecurity courses into our platforms. So I call it using gaming as the cheat code to engage in these conversations, right? So parents, if you tell them we need to work on your communication skills, they might not be too receptive to that. But if you say, hey, can you come up here for 5 to 10 minutes and explain to me how you navigate a Fortnite match, or what's your favorite operator and what's some of the benefits to your operator in Rainbow Six versus someone else, they'll be a little bit more, because it's something that they're comfortable speaking about. So again, it's just kind of meeting them halfway and meeting them where they are. And again, we're trying to build a community of non-toxic sportsmanship, leadership, respect and integrity. We try to build those values into our gamers as well. So we talked about that. We have our experienced gamers and creators, like this gentleman over here. We have the center, again, working with industry leaders and colleges. So we've partnered with the Gwinnett Technical College up here in Lawrenceville. Also have done work with the Gwinnett County, the Atlanta Public School Systems, Landmark Christian. I actually go there periodically. I was their keynote speaker at their career day. And then the last two, the U.S. Cyber Games and Play Cyber, they're actually building a league where you can compete in cybersecurity. So they're doing things like attack and defend. So you have one team who's trying to defend the server while half of your team is trying to attack the opponent's server. And we're trying to build a program similar to these esports programs with shoutcasting and everything like that. But the great thing about that is that not only are the colleges watching, so are all the employers, including the government. The government is desperate for cybersecurity talent. The White House has just issued an initiative that's basically saying, hey, we know a lot of you can't go to college, so we're actually going to fund a lot of these organizations to help you get training and certified, and then create that pipeline to get government jobs. And if you can get a government job, the pay's not always that great, the benefits are awesome, and if you get a chance to work overseas, you get to see some cool places overseas and make money tax-free. So just keep that in mind. So, and Alpha Esports and Technology, we focus on 3 pillars: play, learn, and elevate. So we have our esports ecosystem, but we focus on healthy gaming, tech education, and then also introducing them to the esports ecosystem. So our play, the play pillar, this is where we're participating in local and national esports leagues, but we want to do that with a purpose. Some of the feedback I've gotten over the course of the last year is that they like playing in this setting, but they would really love to play against other teams, other communities. So we actually went out and found a couple leagues to compete in. But I also wanted to make sure that they shared some of our similar values. So we found 2 leagues so far: the Amateur Esports Association as well as the Vanta Esports League, that shares our values, shares our concern for gamer security and privacy. And now their platforms are, well, the Advances platform is COPA compliant, the Child Online Privacy Protection Act, and everything is done in that platform in a safe manner. The Amateur Esports Association is also looking to build, an inclusive community of gamers and compete in a safe way, but they also work with a network of colleges and organizations to help you get scouted, and their tournaments, the prize money in their tournaments goes towards college scholarships and college funding. So just kind of go through that again. We have the AEA and then we have the Vanta League. For our 18 and up group, we are partnering with the Ultimate Endgamers League. You can look them up. They're a league out of Virginia. They're a professional esports league that compete weekly. And it's not just in one game. I think they play across 35 different titles. So they literally spin a wheel. So the matches, are intense. They usually go about 6 hours because the team are competing in several different matches. And season, I'll just go this way. They're in their fifth year, and they're in their ninth season, and the prize pool is $1 million this year. But Ghost Gaming, which was acquired by a gentleman down in Georgia, is also competing. Is going to be competing in that league, and we're partnering with them to host events here so that players can come try out and get their skills challenges to be eligible for their draft. They have a draft. They have something like 24 teams. So you can get drafted by a team and you compete weekly, either in Atlanta or you can go up to Virginia if you want. The last two, stay plugged in and play Versus. Play Versus is the platform that all the high schools in Georgia use for their esports programs. So we partnered with them to make sure that we can also be an esports hub. So you don't have to worry if you're playing esports for another school. You don't have to worry about it being a conflict of interest. We're on their radar. They actually gave me their blessing to communicate with all the schools and let them know that you can compete here, you can practice here, you can also compete in our leagues, and it won't be a conflict. I think the only thing is the tournaments, we cannot give you cash for if you're in a high school league. Gift cards, V-Bucks, whatever, that's different. But we just can't hand out cash prizes. And then lastly, Stay Plugged In. Stay Plugged In is a platform that we're actively pursuing, finalizing that partnership with. They are another platform that is literally just gamers in colleges. So it's almost like, sending your highlight reel or your live streams to these colleges, and they'll talk to you about, college opportunities. Internally, we have our tournaments. So we have our Mario Kart and our Smash Brothers. We have Dragon Ball, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, FC 24. We have several tournaments that we do as well. The tournaments are also community focusing and have cash prizes. Our Fortnite Community Clash event, we partnered with a couple of people. PK Graft, who's a great resource in the esports community. We do community clashes where they can come get together and just play Fortnite for a few hours and enjoy. We have different party nights. So again, things that we just do for the community. We do different themed party nights. Thanks to some of our folks here, we did a K-pop themed party night like a month ago. And then we also have our summer camps. Our summer camps, we have our half-day esports camps. We do content creation camps, AI, art with AI prompts and things like that. One program that's near and dear to my heart is the Girls Game 2 program. Half of all gamers are women or people or those who identify as female, but they don't feel comfortable playing in the environment. Sometimes it gets highly competitive. So we started a program called Girls Game 2 to just be a safe space for them. Future plans would be to get start a separate league for them if they don't feel comfortable moving over, but being able to do that, I was able to actually start my Overwatch squad, which y'all saw earlier. That's my first co-ed team, so that's something that I'm super proud of. Cakes and Gaming. I'm sure y'all see the lovely cakes here. My wife just stepped out, but we also do events there, so it's like date nights. Sometimes it's not all about the kids. Sometimes the kids need to stay home and let the parents go out and have fun. So we do stuff where they can come, y'all can come and do some gaming, do a little bit of gaming, but also have classes where she's teaching you how to, bake and decorate, cakes and do custom cake designs. And then lastly, like I said, with the Play Versus, we have our school esports programs. And then for our casual gamers, we do have club memberships, so we do have hourly rates and stuff like that. But you can also do club memberships where you can get, a certain amount of time for free or discounted rates. You also get discounts on our merchandise. You get discount on our events. Our silver and gold packages, you don't have to worry about paying the venue fee if you want to come and spectate a tournament or if you want to come and compete in a tournament. Essentially, you get the tournament half off. Right, so you just pay towards the pot. And then also our community events. We've done work with pretty much all of Gwinnett County, all the community centers, several mentorship programs and nonprofit organizations. We just held a three-night tournament for the 100 Black Men Conference down in Atlanta last month, which was amazing and stressful at the same time. Try running like 12 different tournaments in the course of like one night. Like, all right, we're gonna do Fortnite. Okay, we got to do Rock League. So that was an experience. And then just kind of going back again about the transferable skills. So these are things that you can that you can learn from esports that can help transfer into other things. So you can, web developers, game developers, graphic designers, corporate sponsors, social media managers and marketing, art, media, streaming, shoutcasting, blogging, production, event organization, IT, and tech support. That's a big one. So they took, even though they're playing online and they're playing with computers, they really took the IT and security element out of it. They took it for granted, so much so that a League of Legends match earlier this year took 7 hours to complete because every time they got on and they started live streaming it again, I'm not going to say hacker, but the attacker kept taking down their server. So they didn't have the proper firewalls or things in place. So every time they were like, okay, we're going to start the match. The match will start, boom, servers go down. They can't do anything. Apex Legends, there was an Apex Legends tournament where one of the content creators basically broadcasted live that he was going to compete in the tournament. Somebody sent him a link during the live stream. He was like, oh, what's this link? I don't know, but I'm going to download it. He clicks the link. If you don't know where it came from, please don't click any links. That's my cybersecurity tip of the day. But he clicks the link thinking, what's the worst that could happen? He clicks it. Nothing happens when he clicks the link. A couple hours later, he's in the middle of his match. And then all of a sudden, all the cheats pop up. So now someone took over his game and enabled all the cheats and all the illegal things that you can't have on your game. So now he had to back out of the tournament because now he was compromised. Actually, him and a few other people were compromised because they sent all of them the links. So imagine being the front runner of a gaming tournament worth $250,000 and you have to back out because you clicked a link on a message thread. So now they're like, hey, we should probably have cybersecurity consultants. So now you're starting to see more esports cybersecurity jobs out there as well. And then also coaches, analysts, researchers, theory crafters. For folks in the fighting game community, if you can understand frame data, boy, there's a market for you. Because frame data in fighting games is all about the timing and what basically you beating the odds of getting hit or hitting before getting hit, I should say. So if you're some of the people who can actually break down frame rate data and stuff like that, you'll have jobs for opportunities for days in the gaming industry, especially the competitive gaming industry. But we also create some of our own courses here. So we have a cybersecurity for gamers. So again, meeting them where they are. If I talk about cybersecurity as a whole, it can get boring. I know, I've been in it 20 years. I don't like some of the terms all the time. But what we do with our cybersecurity for gamers is we break it down so you can understand it using those examples like I talked about with the League of Legends and the Apex Legends matches. So we're using it on, again, trying to show you that you already have knowledge about it. So we take those concepts that are in cybersecurity and break it down from a gaming element so that it's easier to digest, easier to understand, and easier to follow it. Then for those who are more serious about starting a career or transitioning their career into cybersecurity, we do have an intro to cybersecurity workshop that we'll be launching in the fall. And it's aligned to the core competencies of the ISC squared cybersecurity certificate. the Google Cybersecurity Certification, and the CompTIA Security Plus certification. So while we're waiting to become an authorized vendor, knock on wood, the contracts aren't signed yet, but while we're waiting to do that, our courses are aligned with it. So the idea is you can get the training and then go pursue that certification after that. Intro to Linux, we actually have a couple programs here called Haiku that's actually built on the NICE framework that teaches you in a gamified, story-driven game that teaches you the basics of ethical hacking and the basics of Linux. But we also have our own introduction to Linux where you learn the differences between Linux and Windows and how to navigate that, because Linux administrators is also a major job. Cyber Safety 101. This is where we're just kind of basically telling you, don't click links and showing you why. Create strong passwords and showing you why. I may even crack a password or two and just to kind of show you how easy it is. So if your password is something like, summer 2024 ! Don't do that. Intro to Ethical Hacking. That's another workshop we created that actually teaches you how to learn the basics of hacking. Parents, don't worry. We will not have them hacking, random things on the internet. They will actually build their own environment in their laptops using a virtual environment, so that if they break it, they can just rebuild it, spin it back up, and go back and learn the skills again. AIM Training with Scratch. That's another program that we're creating. Scratch is a block-based coding language developed by MIT. And we basically teach you the basics of using Scratch coding by building an AIM trainer. So our keyboard and mouse players know reaction time is important. So you can actually build your own AIM trainer, and now you have that. And then lastly, we have learning AI prompts with art. So that picture there, or that picture that you see there, that was done using artificial intelligence. One thing that is important to me is making sure that we do it in an ethical fashion. So we learn about the ethics and how to do it the right way. But the more important thing with AI is learning how to talk to the Chat GPTs or the Google Geminis or Microsoft Copilots in a way that's going to get you back the information that you requested in a more efficient way, right? If you just go in there and be like, hey, I know there's a picture I know there's something that's like, there's a commercial that's like, oh, show me a picture of a cat playing a guitar. That's great. But what they don't tell you is that sometimes that cat might have 5 legs, right? Or the cat might have like 3 eyes, or the cat might look fine, but then there's another head on top of the head of the cat. So we go into how to create, prompts, really detailed, again, focusing on that written communication skills so that you can get the output, the desired output that you're looking for. Some of our partners, Game Plan, the World of Haiku, which was the game I'm talking about. Vanta, again, they also have their coaching platform. And then at Gwinnett Technical College is something else that we're finalizing, but for our game developers, we're working with Gwinnett Tech to kind of, again, build that pipeline of, okay, so here's our game development program, here's our game design program, and it aligns with what Gwinnett Tech is doing with their game development program, so that, again, we can essentially create that same, that pipeline as well. And then lastly, Elevate. This is just something that is important to me, just fostering a safe and inclusive environment. Working with communities and organizations to promote positive gaming experiences. So things like we're doing today, having our Girls Game 2 program. In the fall, we're going to have something with the local police department where you can actually come out and probably beat some police officers in a video game or two. But it's just trying to do things to build that sense of community that I think is something that is just sorely missed right now. So far, like I said, in the last year, we've worked with a lot of current and former professional athletes. We've worked with the Atlanta Hawks. We've worked with a couple of former football players. Made a lot of cool friends. Did events for the 100 Black Men Conference. Participated in events with local colleges and HBCUs. Participated in international scrimmages. My squad played against some folks out in Kenya a couple weeks ago and totally annihilated and wiped the floor with them. But who's keeping count? We were playing and they started, trash talking, and I was like, all right, guys, it's time to show them what we got. And by the time we were done, everybody signed off except for like 2 people. So yeah, I'm totally proud of y'all. We offer tech, STEM, cybersecurity classes and workshops, students, government contractors. I do that on a monthly basis now, and we just did all of that through just word of mouth, social media marketing, and events in the community. Our ribbon cutting ceremony that we had yesterday actually had the mayor of Suwanee here playing our sim racer, and I'm gonna post a video online probably later this week, but he totally enjoyed it. He crashed his Corvette a few times, but again, just having that building that community. And then lastly, this is just words just from members of our community, members of our wolf pack that's just, that have done that trusted me with with their family members, with their children. I have my own children who are in here as well, and to get the feedback from them that we're doing great things. That again, that's what we're about. So, like I said, we've done Fortnite and Overwatch, and now we're going to launch several teams in the fall. Our Girls Game 2 program. We work with several community centers across Georgia, North Carolina, and Africa. Several K through 12 and college institutions with our partnership with Gwinnett Tech. We were a finalist for the Black Check Achievement Award for Outstanding Initiative. Didn't win, but it was still great to just be on that list and meet those people. And then lastly, we've had articles and media published about us from Microsoft, Afrotech, and NPR Marketplace, as well as a podcast from Scott Hanselman, who is the VP of Development at Microsoft. And then just kind of how we do what we have with our esports, our memberships, our in-person stuff, our digital things, our sponsorships, brands, and things like that. And our future is focused on building more content creation stuff. So you see we have like teleprompters and lights over there. I didn't get that up in time for y'all today. More stuff on artificial intelligence education, integrating more VR gaming and training. There's a gentleman out of North Carolina who's actually teaching trade jobs using VR. So you're learning how to be an electrician in HVAC, so you don't have to worry about getting whacked with a live wire or anything like that. Cybersecurity esports, going back to what I was talking about with the Playverses and Cat's Eye. And then growth and expansion to other communities, cities, states, and hopefully countries. But, here is home base, and this is what we want to focus on first. So that's it. I probably talked way too long, but thank you. If you have any questions, feel free. Y'all can get back to the gaming. And, thank y'all for coming out again.